All right, guys. So it's 1900 or 7 p.m. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I appreciate everybody who took the time to dial in. I know this is a new way of doing things for a lot of people, or I guess with what's been going on, maybe not a new way of doing things for a lot of people. Um, but again, I just want to say I appreciate you dialing in, and I would also appreciate your patience. We're still learning this technology and how it's going to best work for Post 435. I'll start off to say, so my name is Commander Adam Siemens. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the current commander here. I'm also running again for in this next election here. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm calling meeting to order here. Like I said, this is a new way of doing things for us based on what's going on with COVID-19. We're all obviously having to adjust how we approach things here for the foreseeable future. For the June, July, and August meetings, we anticipate also those meetings being on Zoom or just some sort of call-in method. So, but that's obviously going to change depending on how this COVID-19 stuff changes. So if things start opening up, we are going to kind of adjust as we go here. As we go along, if you have any questions or want to make any comments, you can do that by pressing *9 on your phone. That does something that's called raising your hand. I will be advised if anybody's raising their hand by Jake. Jake's kind of our tech guru, is helping us through this. He's also on the call. So in a little bit here, I'll be asking him if anybody's raising their hands. But just to start off with here, I'm going to go through a few things. Starting with our election that's coming up on June 6th. We sent out an email on MailChimp. Via MailChimp to those of you who have email addresses. We also posted it on our social media pages. So that election's happening on June 6th. Obviously, with what's going on, we're going to be doing that a little different this year. We're going to be mailing out ballots, and members will have two different ways to return those ballots or make sure their voice is heard in this coming election on June 6th. The first method will be what I like to call the drive-through voting. Drive-through voting is going to consist of, on June 6th, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., you come by the post, you drive up in your car. There's going to be a member of the post or some other volunteer there who's going to collect your ballot at that point. They'll bring up the ballot box to you. You can drop your ballot in the ballot box. There's no need for you to get out of the car. There's no need for you to have person-to-person contact with anyone. The second method to submit your ballot is to return it to the post via the U.S. Postal Service. We ask that those be postmarked by June 3rd, 2020, just to ensure there's enough time for them to get to the post by June 6th to make sure they're counted. Each individual ballot is going to be numbered. I just want to stress here, in case anybody's concerned, that these numbered ballots are in no way going to be tied to any member's name or any member's member ID number or anything like that. It's simply a method for us to ensure that no double votes are being cast. So, for example, here, if we get two or three ballot number 12s that come back to us, we're going to go ahead and try to cast out ballot number 12 just to make sure, again, that there's no duplicate votes being cast. Again, that's to make sure that the integrity of the election is maintained and to make sure that no double votes are being cast. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself here. Once those results are counted on the 6th, and they will be counted on the 6th, those votes will be reported to the board, and then they will be disseminated to the membership via email, via social media, so on and so forth. We have an election judge identified. Her name is Lynn Lyons. She is a member of the executive board. She is not up for re-election this year, so she doesn't have a horse in the race, so to speak. I've asked her to kind of coordinate making sure volunteers are available on the 6th to make sure those votes are collected and then ultimately counted as well. Moving on from that, starting June 1st, we are going to have a 24/7 live answering service for our post. The number for that is toll free is 855-253-7932. I'll give it a sec here in case some of you are scrambling for pens. And I'll say the number again. I just want to throw it out here too. This number is also going to be forwarded to members via email. We can go ahead and post it on social media as well, just to make sure it's widely disseminated. Again, that number is 855-253-7932. Again, that's the number you can call with any questions or concerns. You can leave a voicemail there. Those voicemails and messages will be forwarded to myself and the adjutants and will be disseminated to the board, and hopefully we can get an answer to your questions, whatever those questions may be. Okay, moving on here. We were going to ask for the approval of the May 8th executive board meeting minutes. However, we're running into a bit of a technology issue with Zoom and this call-in service about how to get votes cast. So we're going to hold off. We're going to postpone the approval of those minutes until the June meeting. That date is to be determined. I anticipate it still happening on the normal date that it would be, that last Tuesday in June. But that might be changing depending on technology issues, depending on COVID issues, what have you. But we're going to postpone the approval of those minutes until that next meeting, which is tentatively on June 30th. Moving on here, I just wanted to give a brief financial update. As before, our financial situation is, for lack of a better word, difficult. We have approximately $250,000 in outstanding debt. That includes debt to vendors, that includes debt to the county for taxes, to the state for sales taxes, so on and so forth. We have applied for the government SBA loans. They've also been referred to as PPP loans, like payroll loans, that kind of thing. We anticipate we've had 10,000, so we've had about 85,000 total dollars of those loans come through so far. We anticipate anywhere from 100,000 to maybe 300,000 coming in the near future. That'll go a long way to helping us pay off our existing debt and getting out from some of those financial issues. And then we can then discuss in the next coming Legion year how we want to go about getting our post back into financial prosperity, if you will. Another thing, we recently had our CPA do our numbers for the past year and the beginning of this year since we've been shut down. As you can imagine, the numbers aren't exactly good. We've had to spend, when we were open, up and running and everything like that, we had to spend roughly $3.20 for every dollar in profit that we made. That's obviously not good. I don't think I need to explain to anybody why that's not good. That just goes to show how our business model, we were approaching club operations in the past, was just not working and not functional for what we were doing. So any step forward, any plan forward on that is going to require an in-depth analysis of how we approach our club business should we decide to have a club going forward. And I want to stress, club and post are two different things. Club is just your bar, restaurant kind of business. The post, regardless of the club, is still going to push forward and still going to exist. That's really all I have going down the agenda list here. Jake, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Has anybody pressed *9? Has anybody raised their hand?
All right, we've got one. Maybe they're just practicing.
Fair
Phone
enough.
number ends in 3729. If you would like to speak, I'll unmute you. Did you have anything to say? 3729, if the last digits of your phone number.
Hey, this is Andy. I must have done that by mistake.
Okay,
Oh, fair enough, man.
no problem. I muted you again. So, all right, we've got another 3026. All right, I've unmuted you so you can talk if you have a question.
Okay, a couple of questions, Adam. This is Greg. I talked to you earlier today. I would like the other members to kind of get a drift of what I talked to you about the ballot, so that, they can be aware of what's going on here with only having, one person to look at on the ballot, to get to know them or whatever that takes. The other question, you said we have an $85,000 that came through on a loan or grant, and then you stated $100,000 in the near future. Now, is that $100,000 a grant that is payable back, or a loan that is payable back, or what type of a financial thing are you setting out here for us?
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. So the way those loans work, at least for the 10th, so it's basically coming in three waves. So the initial loan of $10,000 was a loan that, well, a loan's even a strong word for it. It's basically a $10,000 grant that doesn't need to be repaid. For the second loan of $75,000, that was a payroll. It's a PPP loan. Excuse me. It's a payroll. I'm not good with acronyms. It's basically a payroll loan. That loan, as long as we follow certain guidelines, that 75% of it has to go to actual payroll. 25% of it has to go towards, it could go towards taxes and that kind of thing. As long as you follow those guidelines, the loan is then forgiven, which means we don't have to pay it back. The second loan is, it could be up to $350,000. We are working. It's not necessarily guaranteed you to get $350,000. It could be, they could say, all right, of this amount, you're going to get $100,000, whatever. I'm just getting an idea of it's probably going to be between $100,000 and $300,000 we would get. It is a federal loan. It definitely has a APR on it's 2.75% over 30 years. The way that works. Like I said, though, it is a government loan, and with some of these government loans, and I don't want anybody to take this as gospel or anything like that. With a lot of government loans, the way it works is they're ultimately forgiven, which means you don't have to pay them back. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying what the probability of that is. I'm just saying it's a possibility. So like I said, it's a 2.75% APR on that loan over 30 years. Obviously, within the next Legion year, with what's coming up, and I've stressed this in social media posts, I've stressed this in emails, that kind of thing. There's some big decisions coming up for our posts in the next year of how we want to proceed and how we want to move forward. That includes everything from, do we want to just reopen our club and reopen business under a new business model, up to, do we want to sell our property and maybe get a new building? Whatever. That's ultimately going to be up to the general membership. That's nothing that's nothing me as a commander is going to decide. That's nothing that the board itself is going to decide. That's ultimately going to come from the membership. In the next year, we also plan on applying and hopefully getting our gambling license back. That will allow us then to, assuming restaurants and stuff open up and bars and stuff like that open up, that will allow us to then sell pull tabs in many of these locations, and we can set up partnerships with bars and restaurants and so on and so forth, which will add an extra avenue of income for our post then to pay off those loans and to pay off existing debt. My goal, if we get this larger loan, is to use the vast majority of it to pay off that old debt, to pay off that old vendor debt, to pay off the property taxes and so on and so forth. Like I said, so that's my goal. that final loan, that largest loan, has not been approved or anything like that. It's just in the works. We're applying for it. We don't know what we got. We don't know what we're going to get, and so on and so forth. As soon as we know, an email will be sent out to the membership to advise them. And it will also detail like the next steps we have to take for that.
Thank you. We've got some more hands raised.
Okay. Hold on. I just want to stress here, we're going to keep this meeting to about an hour. So just so everybody's aware, at about an hour, I'm going to cut it off because I know everybody has families. It's a weeknight. Some of us are still working. You know, I just want to make sure everybody still has some of their night left to enjoy.
Okay, perfect. We'll have, if your phone number ends with 7747, I'm going to unmute you now. Go ahead, you're unmuted.
Hi, this is Kathy. And I'm just wondering, is the club on 66th in Portland, is there any chance that that will reopen again?
You said Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy. All right, cool. The club, that's an option for the club to open again. To be completely honest with you, I don't expect it. If it does open, I don't expect it to open up again like it was in the past, simply because, like I outlined earlier, that just wasn't profitable for us. Like I mentioned, we had to spend about $3.20 in cost to make $1 in profit. So I imagine if it does open up again, and these are discussions that the board is going to have, and discussions that the membership's going to have, if how that's going to look, if that means modified hours, if that means we're only going to be open certain days of the week, so on and so forth. So it's a possibility. It's under consideration. It's something we're going to discuss, but it's by no means set in stone. And I know that's it's a very big deal for people. It's something I want. I'm not going to lie. You know, to put it very bluntly, I miss my bar. All right. I think a lot of people miss their bar.
We all do.
Yep, I'm right there with you. But I want to make sure if we do open that club up again, we do open those club operations, that it's 1, profitable, and 2, sustainable, and 3, is going to benefit Post 435 in the long run. I think everybody can probably agree on that. I know my board is on board with that. To me, it's just common sense. Hope that answers your question. Yep.
All right, thank you, Kathy. I'm going to mute you. Thanks again. And now we're going to go to phone number. It ends in 7221. You are unmuted. Go ahead and have your question.
Hi, my name is Mike Gillen, and you're approaching these loans as a bank account. And I'm just wondering if we can't use that bank account in a smart way of, instead of paying these loans off all at once, if we can't dole out some of that money in small amounts to pay down these loans. Work with the people that we have the loans worked out with to see if we can't make payments on those loans at a low interest rate.
Yeah.
So that we can have this money last as long as possible to pay off these loans.
Yeah, Mike, that's a good point. I just want to clarify one thing. These loans, these SBA loans from the government, what I anticipate them to be used to pay off, when I say vendor debt and sales tax debt, that's not loans. Those are basically overdue bills that we have from running our post and running our club. They're bills for the beer we served at the club. They're bills for the food we served at the club. Their property taxes owed to Hennepin County. It's sales tax owed to the state of Minnesota, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, those are largely non-negotiable. Largely, I said. I mean, you obviously with vendors, you can work out some sort of deal with them. Hey, we'll get you X amount of dollars on this day, what have you. But those aren't loans. Those aren't loans that can be renegotiated. That's straight debt. That's why I anticipate these government loans, these SBA loans, being used to then pay down that debt or eliminate it completely if we're lucky. And then we can decide going forward what our next steps are. Are we going to open the post to a profitable point where we can start paying down this government loan? Or do we want to again, it's just an idea. Sell our property, restructure everything, rebuild somewhere, and use some of that money we use from the sale then to pay off the loan and get us in a financially stable place to move forward. Does that make sense,
Okay,
Mike?
to be able to get financially stable, are we going to be able to open up the charitable gambling again?
That's the ultimate goal. So my vision, for lack of a better word, if we get this government SBA loan, we use it to pay down our debt, because to be honest, the state of Minnesota is not going to grant us a gambling license if they see we're X amount of dollars in debt to vendors. Like, wow, these guys can't even pay their bills. What makes us think that they can, do charitable gambling, so on and so forth. It's these SBA loans, these government loans are going to, I envision us getting in a more financially stable position to then get that gambling license, to get that income coming back into the post. We can use to then pay off the SBA loan. And then, like I said, to, God forbid, we have any additional vendor debt or something like that, we can use that to then pay off the vendor debt and utilities and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Was that kind of a convoluted answer? I feel it was a little convoluted.
Well, that all makes sense, but I'm hoping that the state understands that we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot here. That if we don't get the charitable gambling, we can't pay our debts. We're trying to pay our debts, so one of the ways that we will be able to accomplish that is if we can convince the state that we need that charitable gambling.
Yeah, and we've had discussions with the state. We've been working with our CPA as well to help us get our verbiage correct, to make sure we're talking the same language here. The state gambling board, they want us to succeed. That's the message I have been consistently told by the state gambling board. They want us to succeed. However, they want us to have a solid plan in place that we can demonstrate that we are competent enough and we are, for lack of a better word, trustworthy enough to handle charitable gambling. Mike, I'm sure you're familiar with our history with charitable gambling and stuff like that. Obviously, we're going to be under a microscope if we get our charitable gambling back, and rightly so.
Okay, I understand that, Adam. I'm hoping that we can have a little bit more oversight on the people that are doing the charitable gambling, so that we don't have the thieves coming in there and taking that money out of there.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Mike, I don't know if you know my background. Professionally, I'm in law enforcement, so I'm right there with you. We definitely need that, and it's something that I, as commander, hopefully in this next year, will be able to implement with some safeguards and fail safes in there to make sure we don't get us in that hole that we got ourselves in before.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate all the answers here.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. If there's anyone else who has a question, you can press *9 on your keypad, star, then the number 9, and it will raise your hand and I can unmute you.
All right, and while we're waiting for that to happen here, I'm just going to get up on my soapbox a little bit. I hate these meetings lately because they seem like they've been all doom and gloom, right? And I don't want anybody to think that post 435 is dead and gone, all right? Post 435 is going to endure this, all right? This is a hole that, yes, post 435 has got itself in. However, it is a hole that post 435 together we can get ourselves out of. It's not impossible. It's going to take work. It's going to take some dedication, and it's going to take participation from our membership. That's something that I wanted to touch on real quick here. Membership participation has been something that our post has been struggling with for a number of years. When I was elected commander last year, we had a total of 18 votes cast in our general membership election. 18 out of over 1,100. I don't really need to go much more into that. I think the numbers speak for themselves. But if post 435 is going to get ourselves out of this hole and get ourselves out of this mess and onto a road to prosperity and a strong foundation to build on to get back so we can stop talking about the financial issues we're in and back to Legion business. We're going to need people to participate. And that's starting to go in the right direction. I've had a lot of people put themselves forward to run for officer positions and board positions with this next election. That's been amazing, and I am truly grateful for that. That's a great start. But in this coming year, in this coming Legion year, a lot of tough decisions are going to have to be made, a lot of decisions that might not make everybody happy. But we need to think about the long-term health and survival of Post 435. And I believe with an engaged membership, we can do that. And my goal is for Post 435 to survive, thrive, and be an example to other posts of how they can overcome a lot of these issues that I know other posts are having to deal with. My goal, obviously, for Post 435 is I'd like to see club operations come back in some form. But I want that form to be smart, and I want that form to not just get us in the same hole another 5 years that we're in now. And I'll get off my soapbox here real quick. Jake, do we have anybody else raising their hand?
Nope. Well said. Oh, just kidding. One more.
Oh, all right, we got one more.
All right, 7221. You are unmuted. Go ahead.
This is Mike Gillen again. I just want to make a comment here. Whoever set up this phone conversation for this meeting, I give them a thumbs up because I had my doubts this is going to work, but this is working very, very well.
Yeah, it's
so thank you.
Pretty good. Yeah, we're still trying to work out some of the kinks. We want to be able to figure out how we can handle potential votes. Granted, not votes for officers or boards or anything like that, but just votes to approve minutes and so on and so forth. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, this 2020 so far has been interesting. It's going to continue to be interesting. But with the help of Jake, for example, whose voice you heard just a little bit before there, our digital guru, we'll be able to get through this. We'll be able to figure out a solution. My goal for the immediate future, obviously, is to just get through the election, and then we can move on from there. And yeah, that's really all I got. Like I said, I want to thank Jake again for being our digital guru. I want to thank, we had Teresa Ash, who's our 5th district representative here. I believe she's on this call too. She helped set up this. She gave us our information. So the 5th district has been amazing helping us get this technology in place and helping us be able to hold this meeting. So kudos to them, and they're here to support us and everything like that. If nobody else has their hands raised, Jake?
Right. Oh, we got one more.
One more, okay.
2624. Go ahead, you're unmuted.
This question is primarily for Jake. How many members do we have in attendance tonight?
Thanks for the question. There's 25 participants here today. And I'll also say thank you for the nice words about me. I'm glad to help. And Adam, one thing that's really nice is that I just learned through this process, we can have votes.
Perfect.
We found a way to do it. So yeah, here's the trial and error.
Okay, well, that's good. So 25, obviously, out of over 1,000 members is not where I would like us to be. But to be honest with you, some of the last general membership meetings prior to this kind of crisis we had in that meeting we had in February, that's way more than we've ever had at normal general membership meetings in the past year. So I'd obviously like us to see us improve on that, to get more people involved and more people dialing into these calls. But unfortunately, we have to kind of deal with what we're dealt. That's kind of where we're at. So unless anybody else has any questions or any other comments,
We're good.
We're good. All right. It's 7:30 right now, so about a half hour. If anybody has any questions, comments or concerns, please email either the commander address, the commanderpost435@gmail.com. Again, that's commanderpost435@gmail.com, or the adjutant email, which that email address escapes me right now. So it's like adjutantpost435, I think, at gmail.com. Somebody, maybe you can text me and let me know what it is. It's an email address that's been in the emails and everything like that. We've also posted it on our social media page. Okay, so the adjutant email is post435adjutant@gmail.com. Again, that's post435adjutant@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, you can email those two addresses. We'll get back to you. Or starting June 1st, you can call that 24/7 answering service and leave a voicemail. That number is 855-253-7932. Again, that's 855-253-7932. Again, any comments, questions, or concerns, you can email, you can call that number, and somebody will get back to you. All right? Please leave your name on that email or voicemail with a phone number, some way we can get back to you, and a live person will call back to you and hopefully answer your questions to the best of our ability. All right? Jake, are there still no questions? No hands raised?
Yep, still no hands raised.
All right, guys, or ladies and gentlemen, I should say. It's not all guys on here today. It's 7:31. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. Thanks again for calling in. And our next meeting, we're shooting for June 30th, 2020. June 30th of 2020. As of right now, it's going to be another one of these phone calls. By that time, we should have election results if you haven't already heard. So we'll be able to let you know who your new officers are and just kind of a game plan for the coming Legion year. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you next time.